A young hiker embarks on a peaceful journey, seeking solace in nature's embrace. The kind of day many dream of, a quiet trail, a cool breeze, and nothing but the sound of the wilderness. But then she disappears. Hours turn into days. Search parties comb the woods, hoping for a miracle. Instead, what they find chills them to the core. What really happened on that quiet trail? Was it an accident, or was something more unusual at play? Stay with us as we unravel the secrets of this haunting case, step by step. May 14th, 2023. It was supposed to be an ordinary day for 24-year-old Sarah Mitchell. An experienced hiker, she had ventured out countless times before, always returning home with stories of her adventures and photos of breathtaking landscapes. That Friday morning, Sarah laced up her hiking boots, slung her backpack over her shoulder, and headed for Greenridge Trail, a place she had always described as her sanctuary. By all accounts, Sarah was in good spirits. Sarah Mitchell arrived at Greenridge Trail at approximately 10:15 a.m., as confirmed by a fellow hiker who saw her entering the trailhead. Sarah was known for her love of nature and her habit of documenting her hikes online. At 11:05 a.m., Sarah shared a photo to her Instagram story, a stunning image of towering pine trees bathed in sunlight. It was the last post she would ever make. By 8 p.m., Sarah had not returned home. Her parents, Laura and David Mitchell, grew increasingly concerned. Laura recalls the moment she realized something was wrong. Sarah always let us know when she got back, even if it was just a quick text. When hours passed without a word, I started calling her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I knew something wasn't right. Sarah's friends and family spent the evening trying to contact her, but every call went unanswered. Her phone was off. By midnight, panic had fully set in. The next morning, May 15th, Laura and David contacted the Clearwater Police Department to report Sarah missing. Within hours, a search and rescue team was assembled, consisting of local law enforcement, volunteers, and K-9 units. The search began at the Greenridge Trailhead and expanded outward, covering miles of rugged terrain. Searchers scoured the dense forest, calling out Sarah's name, hoping for any sign of her. But for the day, there was nothing. No footprints, no discarded items, no response to their calls. It was as if Sarah had simply vanished. Then, on the morning of May 16th, a member of the search team stumbled upon something that changed everything. Sarah's backpack.it was found partially buried beneath leaves and dirt, just off a small, secluded trail. Inside were her phone, wallet, and journal. But there was no sign of Sarah herself. This discovery raised more questions than answers. Had Sarah gotten lost and discarded her belongings in a panic? Or had someone else been involved? What search teams would uncover next would leave investigators, and the entire community, scrambling for answers. May 16th, 2023. On the third day of the search, a breakthrough came, but it was far from the resolution anyone had hoped for. At approximately 9:45 a.m., a volunteer, part of a smaller search group combing a remote section of the forest, spotted something unusual. Deep within the woods, far from the marked trails, was a patch of disturbed earth. At first, it seemed insignificant. Perhaps an animal had been digging, but as the searcher moved closer, they found something chilling. Sarah Mitchell's lifeless body. She was discovered in a secluded area nearly 2 miles from the main trail, surrounded by dense foliage and towering trees. It was a place few hikers would ever venture to, let alone someone as familiar with the trails as Sarah. The serene forest, once a haven of beauty and tranquility, now harbored a devastating secret. The volunteer radioed the search command, their voice trembling as they reported the find. Within minutes, authorities cordoned off the area, transforming the peaceful clearing into an active crime scene. Sarah's body was found lying face up, partially concealed beneath leaves and branches. Her hiking boots were still on, and her blue jacket, the one she wore in countless social media posts, was zipped halfway up. But what struck investigators immediately was the state of her body. There were visible bruises on her arms and legs, as if she had been grabbed or restrained. Cuts and scrapes marked her face and hands, possibly signs of a struggle. Yet, strangely, there was no obvious cause of death. No gunshot wounds, no stab marks, just the unsettling evidence of what appeared to be a violent encounter. Adding to the mystery was the location itself. The area where Sarah was found was far off the beaten path, accessible only through a network of faint, unmarked trails. For an experienced hiker like Sarah, it would have been unusual, if not impossible, for her to get lost there. To complicate matters further, investigators discovered no clear signs of a struggle in the immediate vicinity. The ground showed no obvious signs of a chase, no broken branches, no disturbed soil. It was as if Sarah had been placed there deliberately. Her body was discovered over 2 miles from the main trailhead, in a direction that didn't align with her usual hiking routes. For Sarah to end up there raised critical questions. Did she willingly veer off course? Or was she taken there against her will? The autopsy would later reveal additional unsettling details. While the exact cause of death was inconclusive, bruising around her neck suggested possible strangulation. Additionally, faint traces of dirt were found in her lungs, indicating she may have been alive when she was buried, or at least partially buried, in that remote spot. But the most baffling discovery came not from her body, but from the area surrounding it. About 10 feet from where Sarah's body lay, partially buried under a layer of dirt and moss, searchers uncovered an object that would deepen the mystery even further: a single hiking boot. But this boot didn't belong to Sarah. It was a size larger than what she wore and of a completely different brand. Stranger still, tucked inside the boot was a crumpled piece of paper. The writing on it was smeared and nearly illegible, but investigators were able to make out a chilling phrase. This cryptic note raised a terrifying possibility. Was Sarah's death the result of a random encounter gone horribly wrong? Or was it something far more calculated? As detectives pieced together the evidence, they knew one thing for certain. Someone else had been in those woods. But who? And why? The discovery of the boot and the note only marked the beginning of what would become a labyrinthine investigation. For Sarah's family, the pain of her loss was now compounded by the haunting questions surrounding her final moments. What had brought Sarah Mitchell to such an isolated part of the forest? And who was the shadow that seemed to loom over her last steps? As investigators combed through the scene where Sarah Mitchell was discovered, they uncovered a series of puzzling clues, each more enigmatic than the last. The first discovery came just a few yards from Sarah's body. A torn piece of fabric, unmistakably from the bright blue jacket she had been wearing that day, was found snagged on a low-hanging branch. The fabric, ripped and frayed, suggested that Sarah may have been running or struggling in the moments leading up to her death. Forensic teams analyzed the torn piece of fabric meticulously. Embedded within its fibers, they discovered a trace of DNA, evidence of contact with another individual. But when this DNA was run through national databases, it produced no matches. Whoever had been with Sarah that day was not in the system, leaving investigators at a frustrating dead end. Adding to the growing sense of unease, footprints were discovered in the soft soil around the area. The prints, some overlapping and partially obscured, told a fragmented story. 2 distinct sets of footprints were identified, one belonging to Sarah, based on the tread of her hiking boots, and another belonging to someone else, larger, heavier, and with a distinctive pattern on the sole that suggested a hiking shoe common among seasoned outdoor enthusiasts. What these prints revealed was chilling. Sarah's footprints showed a pattern of erratic movement, sharp turns, sudden stops, as if she were being followed. The second set of prints mirrored hers, always close behind, up until the area where her body was found. Then, inexplicably, they disappeared, as though the person had vanished into thin air. But perhaps the most baffling clue was an item found just feet away from Sarah's body. A gold bracelet that was delicate, with a thin chain and a small charm in the shape of a heart. At first glance, it seemed like it might have belonged to Sarah, but her family quickly confirmed that she didn't own any jewelry like it. Forensic analysis of the bracelet yielded few answers. No fingerprints were found on its surface, and the clasp was intact, suggesting it hadn't been ripped off in a struggle. It was almost as if someone had deliberately placed it there. A calling card, or perhaps a mistake. The bracelet raised questions investigators couldn't ignore. Did it belong to her killer? Or was it left by someone entirely unrelated to the crime? Even more perplexing was the discovery of fibers clinging to the bracelet's clasp. These fibers, synthetic and bright red, didn't match anything Sarah was wearing that day. What's more, no items of that material or color were found in the immediate area. This single, seemingly insignificant piece of jewelry became a key focus of the investigation. If detectives could identify where it came from or who it belonged to, they might be able to unravel the mystery of Sarah's final hours. But the clues didn't stop there. Just as investigators were beginning to piece together a timeline, they uncovered another piece of evidence that deepened the mystery even further. A small plastic wrapper, torn and crumpled, was found near the base of a tree not far from Sarah's body. It appeared to be from a protein bar, but not the brand Sarah typically carried. In fact, a search of her home and car revealed no such items, suggesting it may have been left by someone else. The wrapper was sent for testing, and this time, investigators caught a break. Faint traces of saliva on the edge of the wrapper contained DNA that didn't belong to Sarah. For the second time, the sample didn't match any profiles in the database. However, it did confirm one crucial fact. Someone else had been there. Piece by piece, the evidence painted a haunting picture of what might have happened on that quiet trail. But every clue raised more questions than answers. Who was the unidentified individual whose DNA was found on Sarah's jacket and the protein bar wrapper? What was the significance of the gold bracelet, and how did it end up near the scene? And perhaps most disturbingly, what had transpired in Sarah's final moments that led to such an isolated and tragic end? As investigators pushed forward, they hoped the answers lay somewhere within the growing collection of evidence. But even with every discovery, one question loomed above all others. Was Sarah Mitchell's death the result of a chance encounter with a stranger? Or was it something far more personal? As the evidence mounted, so did the questions. With no immediate suspects and only a collection of mysterious clues, investigators turned their attention to potential motives and those who may have crossed paths with Sarah Mitchell on that fateful day. Could this have been a robbery gone wrong? Or was Sarah targeted by someone she knew? Someone with a dark reason for wanting her silenced? One theory quickly emerged: a robbery that escalated to violence. Hikers are often easy targets, carrying valuable items like phones, cameras, and cash. Sarah's phone was missing from the scene, and her wallet, usually kept in her backpack, was found emptied of cash. However, this theory had one glaring flaw. Sarah's expensive DSLR camera was still in her bag, untouched. If robbery was the motive, why leave behind the most valuable item she had? This inconsistency left investigators questioning whether they were dealing with a far more personal crime. As investigators pursued this angle, witness accounts began to surface. A local resident, 52-year-old Harold Simmons, claimed to have seen a man acting suspiciously near the trailhead on the morning of Sarah's disappearance. According to Simmons, the man was pacing back and forth, wearing a dark hoodie and sunglasses despite the bright morning sun. He kept looking around like he was waiting for someone, Simmons recalled. When I passed by him, He didn't make eye contact, just kept his head down. Simmons' description was vague but unsettling, prompting investigators to canvass the area for security footage. Yet, despite their efforts, no clear image of this individual was recovered. Another theory pointed to the possibility of an animal attack. The Greenridge Trail is home to a variety of wildlife, including black bears and mountain lions. Could Sarah have been attacked while hiking alone? Initially, some of the injuries on her body seemed consistent with this explanation, but a closer examination revealed key discrepancies. No claw marks or bite wounds typically associated with such attacks, and no evidence of animal tracks near the scene. Forensic experts confirmed that while wildlife encounters can be deadly, this was no accident of nature. Sarah's injuries were inflicted by human hands. With the robbery and animal attack theories ruled out, attention turned to Sarah's personal life. Detectives began to piece together a portrait of her relationships, looking for anyone who might have had a motive to harm her. Among those interviewed were her ex-boyfriend, Daniel Carter, and her close friend, Megan Langston. Daniel described their breakup as amicable, though Megan offered a different perspective, mentioning heated arguments in the weeks leading up to Sarah's death. They were fighting about something, Megan said in her statement. Sarah didn't tell me much, but I could tell she was upset. Daniel's alibi checked out. He had been out of town on the day of Sarah's disappearance, but his name remained on the list of individuals investigators scrutinized closely. While investigators focused on Sarah's immediate circle, another intriguing lead came to light. A fellow hiker, 37-year-old Liam Ford, had crossed paths with Sarah earlier that day. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed Liam purchasing supplies just an hour before Sarah was last seen. When questioned, Liam admitted to seeing Sarah on the trail but claimed their interaction was brief, a casual exchange of greetings before they went their separate ways. "I didn't see anything unusual," Liam stated. "She seemed happy, like she was just enjoying the day." However, inconsistencies in Liam's timeline raised eyebrows. He reported leaving the trail around noon, but a park ranger recalled seeing him near the trailhead well past 2 p.m. Each lead brought investigators closer to the truth, but also deeper into the labyrinth of possibilities. Was the man in the dark hoodie connected to Sarah's death? Could Liam Ford's timeline hold the key to solving the case? And what about the mysterious DNA found on Sarah's jacket and the protein bar wrapper? Did it belong to one of these suspects or someone else entirely? As the investigation unfolded, one thing became clear. The answers were buried somewhere in the growing mountain of evidence, but uncovering them would require unraveling a web of lies, secrets, and deception. The tragedy of Sarah Mitchell's death rippled far beyond the forest where her life was cut short. For her family, her friends, and the tight-knit community of Greenridge, the loss was not just shocking. It was profoundly personal. A town known for its tranquility now found itself grappling with fear and grief, as questions about safety and justice weighed heavily on everyone's hearts. This has shaken our community to its core. We've never had anything like this happen before. People are locking their doors, and hikers aren't venturing out alone anymore. It's terrifying to think something like this could happen here. Greenridge is supposed to be a safe place. My kids used to play in those woods, and now I don't even want them near the trail. Whoever did this needs to be caught. It's hard to sleep knowing they're still out there. While fear gripped the town, the Mitchell family was enduring a pain that no one should ever have to bear. For them, Sarah was not just a victim. She was their daughter, their sister, their light. Sarah's mother, in tears, said that she was our sunshine. She loved life, loved nature, and loved people. She had so many dreams, and now she'll never get to live them. Megan Langston said that Sarah was the kindest, most adventurous person I knew. She could light up any room she walked into. The thought of someone hurting her, Taking her from us? It's unbearable. Sarah's friends remembered her as someone who lived boldly and fully, finding beauty in every corner of the world. For them, her death was not just a loss. It was a senseless act that left a void in their lives and raised countless questions about what happened on that quiet trail. In the wake of Sarah's death, the Greenridge community rallied together, determined to find answers and to honor her memory. Local residents formed search teams to help investigators comb through the dense forest for any missed clues. Fundraisers were held to support the Mitchell family and to bring awareness to hiking safety. The volunteer said that, "We're not giving up until there's justice for Sarah. She deserves that much, and her family deserves closure." But for those closest to Sarah, no amount of community support could erase the heartache. Her mother described the agonizing days of waiting for news, the sleepless nights filled with unanswered questions. Sarah's father somberly said that, "She loved this place. It's so hard to come back here now, knowing what happened. We just want to know why. Why her?" As the community grieved, the investigation pressed on. With each passing day, the search for answers grew more desperate. Leads began to dwindle and tensions ran high. But one thing was certain. The truth about Sarah Mitchell's final moments would not remain hidden forever. After months of tireless investigation, the case of Sarah Mitchell's tragic death finally reached a turning point. Authorities announced the arrest of 34-year-old Daniel Harris, a local man with a prior history of violent behavior. Harris was apprehended following a tip from a witness who recalled seeing him near the trail on the day Sarah disappeared. Forensic evidence recovered from the scene, DNA on the torn fabric of Sarah's jacket, ultimately linked him to the crime. The trial was closely followed by the community, with Sarah's family attending every session. Harris was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sarah's mother tearfully said that, "We'll never get Sarah back, but knowing that her killer can never hurt anyone else gives us some peace. She deserves to be remembered for the beautiful person she was." Her parents have established the Sarah Mitchell Outdoor Foundation in her honor, encouraging others to find the joy in nature that Sarah always cherished. The foundation also advocates for increased safety measures on hiking trails. Sarah's father softly said, "Sarah loved this place. We hope her legacy inspires others to enjoy nature but to do so safely." Sarah Mitchell was more than a victim of a tragic crime. She was a daughter, a friend, a light in her community. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly life can change and how important it is to cherish every moment we have. Her best friend tearfully, "She loved the outdoors so much. Every weekend, she'd find a new trail and send me pictures of these beautiful places she explored. She just wanted to share that joy with everyone." For her family, the loss is immeasurable. Her mother recalls Sarah's laughter filling the house and her adventurous spirit inspiring those around her. Sarah's mother, holding back tears, said, "She was our sunshine. Sarah had this way of making everyone feel special. It's hard to imagine life without her smile." The impact of Sarah's tragic death rippled through the entire community. Greenridge Trail, once known for its peaceful beauty, now carries the weight of her memory, a reminder of the fragility of life. This case serves as a stark reminder that even in the quietest corners of the world, danger can lurk unseen. It's a chilling testament to how the unexpected can shatter lives and leave unanswered questions in its wake. For those who love the outdoors, Sarah's story is a reminder to cherish the beauty of nature but to remain vigilant and cautious. Safety, whether on a familiar path or a new adventure, should never be taken for granted. Sarah Mitchell's life was tragically cut short, but her legacy lives on in the memories of those who loved her and the countless hikers who now walk with a little more care, carrying her story in their hearts. Thank you for watching. If Sarah's story moved you, please like this video, subscribe for more true crime cases, and share your thoughts or theories in the comments below. Together, we can honor her memory and keep her story alive.